change your body, your mind, and your life by running. So I bet most of you out here have had a family member, a neighbor, or a friend that started running and you could actually see the changes to their body. They might have lost a lot of weight because when you run, you burn a lot of calories, and so that lowers your weight. I know my dad likes to go on running programs off and on a lot, and he'll go on a running program and he'll lose a lot of weight and look really fit, but then he'll go off and gain a lot back. Another physical benefit of running that you can see is you can gain a lot of muscle. That's my brother, and that this picture to the left is him freshman year, and then that one is junior year. And you can see it especially in his legs. He gained a ton of muscle, and I don't think that many people realize that you do gain a lot of muscle when you run, because you most of the time think of running as losing weight, so you're losing muscle as well, but you're actually not. You don't always have to go to the gym and lift weights. You don't have to lift 200 pounds to get muscles. Sometimes by running you can gain a lot of muscle. So these are both great physical benefits that you can see, but there's a lot of physical benefits that you can't always see that's inside of your body. One of them is improved cardiovascular health and strength. Your heart is being pushed a lot when you run because it's pumping much faster because you're straining yourself more. So it's improved a lot, it's strengthened because your heart is a muscle, so it's really worked to the extreme, so it's being pushed and it becomes stronger, so your blood flow can flow more easily throughout your body because your heart is strengthened. Another one is a big boost to your immune system. When you run, the protective cells throughout your body are circulated faster and more efficiently throughout your body because it just really gets the whole blood flow moving. So those protective cells are working more efficiently and at a much faster pace. So your whole immune system gets a huge boost when you run. Another one is stronger bones. This one, when you're running, you're constantly pounding your feet on the ground, which can actually be a good thing because it's creating a lot of stress on your feet. So the bones in your feet actually build up and become more durable and dense because bone is made of tissue, and so that tissue goes to your feet and it strengthens it because it's preparing for an injury, and so the bones in your feet especially really get dense and less easily snap, and so it really strengthens your bone. Another one which I think is probably more obvious is increased lung capacity. Your lungs, when you're running, are trying to take in as much oxygen as possible. I know when I'm dying out on the course, I'm trying to breathe as much as I can to get in that air. And think about if you're just sitting in a classroom, if you feel your lungs barely expanding versus when you're out on the fields or in the woods and you're trying to get as much oxygen in as possible, that your lungs are working and they're expanding, and so over time there's it becomes stronger and bigger, so it has more capacity. The last one is it's improved overall cholesterol, and this is due to the fact that since you're losing weight, you're burning calories. The weight loss helps regulate the level of cholesterol, and so it becomes a healthier level for it. So those are all amazing physical benefits, but what I think a lot of people don't know are the mental benefits of running. So some effects can happen immediately when you start running. one of the biggest things is your mood can be elevated and your brain relaxes and releases stress from that day. I know from a personal experience that when I've had like a rough day at school and it's just not going well, I definitely did not want to go to practice that afternoon. That was the last thing that I would think of, is to go put on running shoes and force myself to run. But in the end, I would end up dragging myself out to practice and running. And by the end of practice, I would feel so much better, and it would just help me so much mentally. I would feel so much more happier, and I got to be with my friends, and I got to talk about my problems and just release that stress from my mind. And running, when you run, it causes this chemical reaction in your head, in your brain, to release these endorphins that cause what we like to call a runner's high. And it's a natural high in your brain that causes you to feel happy, and your mood is elevated, and everything about yourself is just lifted up, and your stress is just wiped away. So I just always feel so much better after a good run, even when I didn't want to before. So there's more positive changes that can come after months or even years of running. You get much better sleep. Your creativity improves. Your memory sharpens, and running can actually protect your brain from aging. And I'm not saying that by running you'll live forever, because everybody's going to die, but it actually can prolong the process of your brain deteriorating. So there was this study done that scientists looked at the effects of physical exercise and the effects of brain games, such as Sudoku or crossword puzzles. There's challenging games to get your brain going. And they studied the effects on elderly people. And what they found was the brain scans showed it was a lower rate of brain shrinkage when they did the physical exercise. So the group of elderly people that participated in the physical exercise actually had less brain shrinkage than the people that were exercising their brains, which is not usually the case of what you hear. I know a lot of times you hear, as you get older, do a crossword puzzle every day and that'll help, your memory. But it's better to put on your running shoes and go for a run, and that'll help your brain stay more fit longer. So one of the most important mental effects, I think, is the boost in self-esteem that you get. So runners have this greater sense of self-reliance and accomplishment, because running is quite an individual sport. And so it's kind of all dependent on you. And when you run, you accomplish that. And if you ran 20 minutes, you know that you did that. And so you can be proud of that, and you can trust in yourself that I just accomplished that. So you end up having this higher level of self-confidence, because you can trust yourself and you can understand yourself and you're proud of what you've done. So it's actually this great ego booster, and your self-esteem is just rocketed high. And so that's why I chose for my project portion of the class to hold a running camp over the summer for middle school girls. And I decided to target middle school girls because during middle school, it's definitely a time of uncertainty, and the self-consciousness definitely skyrockets, and I would say the self-confidence plummets dramatically. And I think that any of you out there could probably name at least one time that you were insulted by a bully, or judged by your supposed friend, or maybe you were embarrassed by your crush, or something where those middle school problems where you just wanted to curl up in a ball and go hide in the closet and never come back. So I think middle schoolers have a hard time with confidence. And so, especially girls, and they have a hard time accepting their bodies and accepting who they were and like their friend groups. So I wanted to target them to help them as much as I could with a running camp because of the amazing effects with self-esteem and self-confidence that maybe I could get those girls their self-confidence levels up. So my goal for the running camp was to let the girls know that running can be fun and that it can be a lifelong thing. And I wanted to teach them these lifelong skills that they could use later on in life, but also for them to be confident in their physical abilities. And throughout the camp, we played a lot of, exercise running games. We competed in a lot of like fun, competitive things, and it was all games that like they could win and feel good about themselves. And I would watch them after, their smiles on their faces when they won, and you could just see like the self-accomplishment and the like I did it feeling. And I could just watch them throughout, and you could tell they were just proud of themselves, and they were motivated to keep going. So many times we'd finish one game and one would run up to me and say, "What's the next game, Coach Sarah?" Like they'd be so excited to compete in another game because they want to win, and they loved that feeling of just being confident and feeling good about themselves. One girl came up to me in the very first day of camp and said, "Coach Sarah, I've never run before." And I said, "That's totally fine. You're going to learn how to run. And you're not only going to learn how to run, but you're going to feel good about yourself and learn how to love yourself and love the people around you and have good competitive fun." And by the end, that girl was loving it. And she wanted to have that camp next week. And she asked if there was going to be a camp like this next summer. And so you could tell that these girls were just really feeling good about themselves, and that they were feeling strong and like empowered. So my message to you is that running can be much more than just grabbing your sneakers and forcing yourself out of bed and running just like 20 miserable minutes of pain. Running can be so fun if you want it to be, and it can create these miracles inside your body and create these long-lasting impacts on your mind. So I challenge you to go run and see what happens. Thank you.